I'm a 30-year-old woman, and I've been dating my partner Ethan 32M for 2 years now. Ethan is everything I could ever ask for in a partner: kind, hardworking, and endlessly patient. Unfortunately, none of that seems to matter to my parents. They've decided they don't approve of him, and honestly, I'm at my wit's end. To give some background, my parents have always been traditional. Growing up, I watched them pass judgment on anyone who didn't fit their very specific mold of what was acceptable. When my sister got married a few years ago, my parents outright refused to attend the wedding because they didn't like her husband. It wasn't because he was a bad person, but because he wasn't from the right background. Basically, he didn't meet their checklist of criteria. That decision caused a huge rift in our family, and it's never fully healed. When Ethan and I started dating, I knew there was a chance my parents wouldn't approve. Ethan doesn't come from a wealthy family like mine, and he practices a different religion. He's built a successful career on his own, and he treats me better than anyone ever has, but none of that matters to them. To them, he's just not good enough. At first, I tried to ease them into the idea of meeting him. I'd bring him up in conversations, share stories about how thoughtful he is, and drop hints about how serious we were getting. For over a year, I tried everything, inviting them to casual coffee meetups, proposing dinners, even suggesting video calls. Every single time, they shut it down. It was either we're too busy or we don't think this is the right time. Ethan, bless him, has been nothing but patient throughout all of this. He told me he understood their hesitance and that he was willing to wait for them to come around. But as the months passed, I could see it was starting to wear on him. He'd never say it outright, but I knew it hurt him that my parents wouldn't even give him a chance. The tipping point came when I planned a family dinner, hoping to finally bridge the gap. I let my parents know well in advance, and while they weren't exactly enthusiastic, they didn't outright refuse. I thought that was progress. Ethan and I even picked out a nice restaurant that we knew they'd like. But then, just hours before we were supposed to meet, my mom called me to say they wouldn't be coming. No explanation, just a flat-out refusal. I was furious. After I hung up, I checked my email and saw a message from my dad. It was this long, passive-aggressive diatribe about how they would never approve of Ethan and how they were only looking out for my best interests. They made it sound like I was some naive child being led astray, which couldn't be further from the truth. I vented to my friends later that night, and they were just as frustrated as I was. One of them even joked that Ethan sounded like the dream boyfriend their parents wished they had. They encouraged me to take a stand and stop letting my parents dictate my life. Ethan, on the other hand, suggested that maybe it was time to step back and let my parents come to us when they were ready. He didn't want me to strain my relationship with them on his account. But here's the thing, I'm tired of waiting. It's been over a year, and they've made zero effort. I know my parents well enough to understand that if I don't push back, nothing will change, so I came up with a plan. My parents have a close-knit social circle, and their friends have always been more open-minded than they are. I grew up around these people, and I know they've always treated me with kindness and respect. If my parents won't give Ethan a chance, maybe their friends will. I decided to host a casual dinner party and invite some of my parents' closest friends. The idea was to let them see who Ethan really is. No filters, no preconceived notions. Ethan was on board with the plan, even though he admitted he was nervous. He said he wanted to make a good impression, not just for me but also because he hoped it might soften my parents' stance. I knew it was a gamble, but at this point I didn't see any other way to move forward. I sent out the invitations, careful not to make it sound too formal. Just a casual dinner with good food and company. The responses started rolling in, and to my relief, most of the guests said yes. My parents, however,